With the new millennium came uncharted waters for Disney. Welcome to MsMojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 best Disney movies of the 2000s.
What are you doing?
Stay back. If I stare at the lock really hard, it'll burst into flames and melt.
Now I'm concerned on a number of levels.
For this list, we'll be looking at the greatest theatrically released Disney movies produced between 2000 and 2009. We'll be including both live-action and animated, but are excluding Pixar. We're also not including anything that aired on the Disney Channel, since that deserves a list of its own. Come on, we have to stick to the status quo. Number 10, Freaky Friday.
I am going to make one final attempt to try to understand what goes on in your head.
Don't treat me like one of your patients, Mom.
What?
Some of Disney's live-action outputs really don't get the respect they deserve. Case in point, Freaky Friday, a body-switching romp starring Lindsay Lohan as Jamie Lee Curtis and Jamie Lee Curtis as Lindsay Lohan.
I'm old!
I beg your pardon.
Oh, I'm like the Crypt Keeper!
Okay, that's enough.
That alone should sell you to watch it if you haven't. With quotable lines and awkward situations galore, watching Curtis act like a teenage girl is hysterical. Her Golden Globe-nominated performance is magnificent, hilariously childish, and highly energetic. We also can't write off Lindsay Lohan, who plays the lost and confused career woman with utter conviction. If you want a time capsule of what life was like in 2003, from the amazing soundtrack to the important fashion and Chad Michael Murray, this should more than do the trick. Number 9, Treasure Planet. Treasure Planet might have been a box office bomb for Disney, but it was through no fault of its own. The movie itself is really quite good, serving as a unique science fiction spin on Robert Louis Stevenson's iconic Treasure Island. Plus, it contains the vocal talents of Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Emma Thompson, and Martin Short, among others.
You let me know when I'm rambling!
While concept and cast go a long way, it's the gorgeous visuals that truly elevate Treasure Planet. It's a wondrous mix of styles and genres, and is easily one of Disney's most visually compelling works. However, it was forced to compete with Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets in theaters, so it was just a case of stiff competition.
You're something special, Jim. You're going to rattle the stars, you are.
Number 8, Holes.
It's all because of your no-good, dirty, rotten, pig-stealing great-great-grandfather.
There's no curse on this family.
There is on the men in this family.
If only the woodpeckers.
Please don't sing that song.
Holes is one of Disney's more mature live-action movies, thanks largely to writer Louis Sacker, who wonderfully adapted his own novel to the screen. Leading a formidable ensemble cast is Shia LaBeouf as Stanley Yelnats IV, a young teenager who's sent to a juvenile corrections camp. Here, he quite literally unearths treasure, as well as a story spanning centuries, various family lines, and explains why he's so darn unlucky. It's a surprisingly complex and emotional story, brought to life in stunning and expansive detail under director Andrew Davis, the production crew, and cinematographer Stephen St. John. Though it is a family movie, this is by no means an easy watch, but older kids should find more than enough to enjoy and contemplate. Also, Dig It is still stuck in our heads.
With broken hands and weathered souls, emancipated from all you know, you got to go and dig those holes.
Number 7, Atlantis: The Lost Empire.
Now some of you may ask, why Atlantis?
Disney could have called this Atlantis: The Lost Movie because people too often forget this movie exists, and that's a tragedy.
Pause for effect.
Atlantis stars Michael J. Fox as Milo James Thatch, a linguist and cartographer who sets off on an expedition to the underwater city of Atlantis. Unlike 90s Disney classics, Atlantis ditches the catchy music to tell a more straightforward, old-timey action-adventure story in the vein of Jules Verne and Indiana Jones. Producer Don Hahn noted this as a problem for the animators, who were obviously used to a more musical plot, instead now using action sequences as the crux of the narrative.
We're gonna rescue the princess, we're gonna save Atlantis, or we're gonna die trying. Now let's do it!
The film was a risk and ultimately a disappointment. But looking back, we have to applaud Disney for thinking outside the box, and we'll be the first to call it underrated. Number 6, The Princess Diaries.
Oops. I'm sorry I didn't see you.
This movie is largely notable for introducing Anne Hathaway to the masses, playing Mia Thermopolis, a teenager who learns she's the rightful heir to a royal family.
Me? A princess? Shut up!
Hathaway brings the character to life with the perfect blend of grace and goofiness. Her being just 18 at the time probably helped make the performance all the more authentic.
I made a list of all the reasons for you not to be a princess. Number 1, no privacy. Number 2, you always have to look just right. Number 3,
Though a princess movie was familiar territory for Disney, The Princess Diaries is endlessly charming, thanks in part to its leading lady, but also Julie Andrews, who was a queen long before taking the Genovian throne.
All in a day's work.
The film, like Mia, defied expectations and is now regarded as a classic of its genre and era.
My thoughts and the thoughts of people smarter than me would be much better heard, and just maybe those thoughts could be turned into actions.
Number 5, The Princess and the Frog. Just because it has Disney's signature royal touch doesn't mean The Princess and the Frog was a conventional Disney movie.
But I know exactly where I'm going. I'm getting closer and closer every day, and I'm almost there.
The company took big creative risks while harkening back to their classics, using traditional hand-drawn animation, bringing in director team Ron Clements and John Musker, and incorporating Broadway-style music. Though old school, there were new elements, including the first African-American princess in Tiana, the setting and culture of New Orleans, and a soundtrack largely steeped in jazz.
If I were a human being, I'd head straight for New Orleans, and I'd blow this horn so hot and strong like no one they've ever seen.
The result was one of Disney's best, most eclectic, and most creative outputs in years, all the while proving that what was perceived as traditional could be updated with excellent results.
Once you became my wife, that made you
A princess. You just kissed yourself a princess.
And I'm about to do it again.
Number 4, Enchanted.
My most adored queen, where did you send her?
To a place where there are no happily ever afters.
Some might say Disney's out of touch with reality and gives impractical expectations of what to hope for from life and love. Well, 2007's Enchanted, a richly imaginative piece of work combining elements of live action, traditional animation, and CGI, is a meta-commentary on the Disney creative process.
You're gonna marry somebody after a day because you fell in love with them?
Yes.
It's also very well made from a production standpoint, featuring creative visual design, Amy Adams' gorgeous performance as Giselle, and catchy music by Disney veterans Alan Menken and Stephen Schwartz.
That's how you love. That's how you love. That's how you love. That's how you love. He's your love.
Come for James Marsden being more handsome as a real-life prince than an animated one, but stay for the hopeful and optimistic feelings each of its characters gives you, no matter if they hail from New York City or Andalasia.
Is this a habit of yours? Falling off of stuff?
Only when you're around to catch me.
Number 3, Pirates of the Caribbean: The Curse of the Black Pearl. This movie really shouldn't have worked. For one thing, it was a pirate movie based on a theme park ride. It also starred Johnny Depp, who wasn't really regarded as a blockbuster movie star. And finally, it was produced by Jerry Bruckheimer, who's known for his bombastic action movies like Armageddon and Pearl Harbor. But despite all odds and expectations, the movie proved to be a monumental success.
You best start believing in ghost stories, Miss Turner. You're in one.
Depp's performance as Jack Sparrow is of course legendary, but we also can't ignore the stellar production design and visual effects, exciting action sequences, and iconic score. It's an action classic and one of Disney's very finest efforts.
This is the day that you will always remember as the day that you...
Number 2. Lilo and Stitch.
And quieter! You don't like it because it's stinky like you! Get out of your room! I'm already in my room!
Bless the 2000s for greenlighting some wacky concepts. Lilo and Stitch introduced the world to a precocious little girl and a genetically engineered ball of chaos who instantly became a fan favorite.
How? Wow.
But of course, Stitch isn't the only aspect of Lilo and Stitch worth considering. There's also the imaginative and touching story, the unique utilization of the Hawaiian setting, and a soundtrack featuring Elvis Presley jams. At the heart of it, though, is a heartwarming message about the bond between sisters Nani and Lilo, and what it means to be a family.
This is my family. I found it all on my own. It's little and broken, but still good.
Families come in all shapes and sizes, but Ohana of course means nobody gets left behind. Whoo boy, I have an unhealthy attachment to these movies. And their soundtracks, come to think of it. 2003 was a very formative year for me for sure. Before we look at our, grooviest top pick, here are some honorable mentions.
So can I have this dance? Can I have this dance?
All this time, no one knew what was on the bag.
The back of what?
No!
Oh my God. Oh my God.
I know.
Oh my God. What have you done? This is.
I know.
This is the Declaration of Independence.
Warriors.
Try dragonflies.
No, they're warriors. From the treetop provinces.
I don't know this game.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. The Emperor's New Groove. Heralding the new millennium for Disney was The Emperor's New Groove, a hilarious movie about a young Incan emperor who is transformed into a llama.
What? A llama? He's supposed to be dead!
Yeah, weird.
The movie actually began production as a dramatic musical epic called Kingdom of the Sun, but was overhauled, becoming the lighthearted comedy we know and love today.
Uh-oh.
Don't tell me. We're about to go over a huge waterfall.
Yep.
Sharp rocks at the bottom?
Most likely.
Bring it on.
The movie is filled with now classic quotes, and an energetic cast including the deadpan David Spade and Eartha Kitt as the legendary Yzma.
I know. It's called a cruel irony, like my dependence on you.
Unfortunately, the movie was seen as a massive financial disappointment following the 90s Renaissance era. But once it came out on home video, people started to see it for the brilliant piece of work that it is. You don't need to tell us it's good. We know.
Boom, baby!
Boom, baby!
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from MsMojo. And be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.